There's something about our brains that remembers things where it engages your curiosity. And one of the best ways that I've learned how to do that is through drawing. You can get a tremendous amount of value out of sketching in 2 minutes. Drawing forces you to look at something longer. Looking at something longer inevitably engages your curiosity. You inevitably come up with questions. And then once you have questions, you have to think through that. The neural pathway between your dominant hand and your brain is evolutionarily wired to be incredibly strong. You get a powerful way to retain information and ideas far longer than if you just tried one modality. The more neurons you can involve in the teaching of a concept, the longer it will be retained. I've drawn this dozens of times, this particular photo, and every single time I notice something new about the elephant. Because how does our brain work? Our brain doesn't look at images. Our brain has a preconceived image that it's already downloaded. So I think that's why we can draw a symbolic elephant and say, oh, this is an elephant. But every elephant is as unique as every human is unique. And you can capture those details. Your brain will not let you capture those details until you spent 10 or 20 minutes looking at it. That's when your brain will start saying, oh, okay, we're actually really paying attention to this thing. We are not going to draw an elephant. We are going to draw a bunch of geometric shapes. Everything in life can be broken down into some fundamental shapes. So I don't look at this and see an elephant. I look at this and see a bunch of ovals and rectangles. When we break something down into geometric shapes that are proportionally correct, all of the details will eventually make themselves clear. The more you can break everything down and see them as shapes. And honestly, it makes for an incredibly engaging experience. I look around and I see shapes. I love this phone here. I see a collection of cubes and rectangles and cylinders. It makes looking in any place incredibly engaging when you start seeing things in terms of it's breaking it down into its fundamental shapes. Spend most of your time looking here. If you have to think about it, 60% of your time should be looking at the image and 30 to 40% of the time should be looking at your drawing. But try and not be critical. Try to do your best to turn off the part of your brain that's overly critical of yourself. And don't stress if you make mistakes. It's not that big a deal because you can always draw kind of over it. We don't need to erase or do anything like that or start over just because something's not perfect. I've been doing this for about 7 years and I hate every drawing I ever do until I don't hate it.
I actually think that the elephant could be used to, inside of the Regent's conversation, introduce poetry. You know, the poem, The Blind Man and the Elephant, right? The conversation of perspective. So starting something out, having a class starter where you give them these kinds of instructions and then they're doodling as we're talking about and connecting to poetry.
She's our token English teacher in this meeting. She teaches English in the English meeting.
Whether you just had the elephant or you had a picture of a person next to it, like even just getting the literal sense of perspective of what an adult man looks like next to an elephant creates a visual perspective that then enriches the poem. As the kids would say, your drawing is Rizzy. You say, even if you don't like your drawing, would you say this is the best elephant that you've ever drawn?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So how many times have you ever been in a PD and said, this is the best thing that the best version of this that I've ever done? So it's not nothing. Yeah. Okay. What I do in my classroom is once a week I have students engaged in a direct observation of phenomena. So for example, right now we are growing onions. So I have them every week. It's like a time-lapse photography. They're sketching the development. And if I just had them look at it, they wouldn't pay close attention, but they notice the changes over time because I'm having them do it regularly. But then for homework, I have them, for whatever I assign for reading, I have them sketch something from the textbook because the images are there to actually help, but most kids never bother looking at them. If you draw something even for 2 minutes, your brain will have to wrestle with it. The jewel of my teaching crown was 3 years ago. I had 4 girls come to me separately throughout the year and said, Mr. T, something along the lines of, I always thought I was too dumb for science, but drawing in your class and noticing things and made me realize that no, this is not just something that I can't, that is too hard for me. I can do science. And the reason is they tapped into a sense of creativity and joy, and not just the ability to spit back and regurgitate facts for a test.